Why is the EFF so quiet? Is it strategic genius or a sign of trouble? Today we dive deep into the EFF's current silence and what it means for South Africa's political landscape. Stay tuned. Welcome to Inkari. It's time. I'm your host, Kondus. In this episode, we explore the economic freedom fighters' recent strategic silence. Led by Julius Malema, the EFF is often a kingmaker in coalition politics, leveraging its electoral power to influence government formation. So why are they so quiet now?
Multi-party charter which is going to elect government, the answer. It will never happen. One is that the EFF is going to win elections and the commander-in-chief of the EFF will be commander-in-chief of the armed forces in South Africa, head of state and president. So my role has already been clarified. So the commander-in-chief, Julius Malema, will be president after the 29th of May. But if we do not get a decisive majority, I think they're going to now get this clearly for the first time. There's not a single Oppenheimer-funded political party which will be government of South Africa. Not one. There will never be any Oppenheimer puppet in any national or provincial government of South Africa. It will never happen. So whatever arrangement that will culminate in the deliberations, there won't be any Oppenheimer puppet which is going to come anywhere close to the control of our economy, of our resources. We're not some sub-imperialist puppets. We're not children. We're not Nelson Mandela and all those people who negotiated CODESA there. We are clear of what's happening in this country. We know who are our primary enemies. And that continues to be the white, racist, capitalist establishment, which is trying to take over power through these puppet parties. They will never enter.
Let's break it down. Several factors might explain the EFF's current approach. First, strategic negotiations. The EFF might be engaging in behind-the-scenes negotiations with other political parties. By staying silent, they retain flexibility and avoid premature commitments. Second, internal strategy and deliberation. The EFF could be internally deliberating on the best course of action to maximize their influence. They are likely assessing the political landscape, potential coalition partners, and the risk and benefits of various alliances. Third, electoral integrity concerns. Despite acknowledging discrepancies in the election's results, the EFF might have decided that contesting this result wouldn't change much. By accepting the result, they maintain stability and position themselves as constructive players. Fourth, public perception management. The EFF might be managing public perception by not appearing overly aggressive right after the elections. This can help build a broader appeal and portray them as statesman-like, which is beneficial in coalition talks. Lastly, assessing opportunities. The EFF might be waiting to see how other political dynamics unfold. They are likely observing actions from larger parties like the ANC and DA, engaging public sentiments before making decisive moves. So, what does this silence really mean? The EFF's current silence could be a calculated part of their broader strategy to maximize influence in coalition negotiations and government formations. By keeping their options open, they can better navigate the complex political landscape.
We haven't even begun to unfold what MK has actually done. For just existing, MK has managed to stop plans to unite the DA with the ANC, because the initial plan was that ANC was supposed to get less than 35% of the vote, which forces it that if because the DA was sure that they could at least get 20%, but they would need 16% just to match with the ANC so they could run the country. That's why the ANC was not that serious in the beginning of the election in terms of campaigns. You see? So if MK didn't exist, what's going to happen was that the ANC was going to get less than 35%, which Fikile Mbalula already said that the ANC was going to get less than 35%. And then they were not going to advertise, they were not going to campaign, they were not going to get you Mbekis or Kgalema Motlantes. They're just going to be a few people here and there. And then they were going to match. And then when ANC matches the DA, it was going to create the EFF as a super opposition party, where everyone who's disgruntled in terms of the ANC matches the DA will, of course, throw their weight behind the EFF. And in the end, you are going to have a two-party state. And you must understand this. The EFF was part of the plan. It was part of the plan. That's why right now, the EFF, the party that you thought would be the first party to say these elections were not right, these elections were not conducted according to the law, these elections, there were many complaints and they were not dealt with. The EFF was the first party to concede defeat, even before the counting was finished. That they said that democracy is more important. But if democracy is more important, the processes of democracy must then take place to ensure that democracy does not collapse. But if you say democracy is more important, but the processes of democracy are failing, like the election, then what do you mean democracy must always win? Because if the process of democracy are not working...
The first prize is not to be president of South Africa. The first prize is to make sure that the dignity of African people is restored. So this is electioneering. I have to give our supporters that confidence, but that is not a sign of desperation. I will be at the IEC Center, no matter the results, to accept defeat and congratulate those who have won. That's what democracy is about. You don't cast aspersion. You don't start complaining even before the results come out because you want to create a platform for anarchy. There is no platform for anarchy. Our country, its constitution and the flag must be protected. South Africa is more important than the EFF. If we have to choose, we choose South Africa and EFF after. Because EFF was formed to protect South Africa. Because EFF loves South Africa. So we are not in love for positions. We are in love with peace, democracy, and democracy in action. Thank you. Thank you.
More importantly, you have two parties in this country that represent the elites or elite interests that represent the establishment. It is the ANC and the DA. And the tragedy is that there is a relationship between the ANC and the DA that too many of us do not see. And the relationship lies in how the DA is changing now. The DA has come, I think, to the conclusion, either by accident or otherwise, that it does not need to be a ruling party to advance the interests of its core constituency, because those can be advanced in a Gramscian hegemonic way through the ruling party. In other words, why become a ruling party? Why pretend you are interested in the needs and interests of black people when you have a party that purports to represent the interests of those who were oppressed? That will do that. That will advance your own interests on your behalf. And this is happening precisely because both the DA and the ANC are parties of the establishment, are parties at the moment that exist to promote elite interests.
Is the ANC going to split in the coming year? Well, where would the fracture happen? The ANC has already finished the splitting. The splitting of the ANC, the most important splitting of the ANC was actually the collapse of COSATU. That's where the split of the ANC was important. It removed the working class, it immobilized the working class, which was a critical ally of the black middle class in the anti-apartheid struggle. This has been totally immobilized through the splits that we have seen in COSATU in the past year or so. Everything else are palace revolutions in the ANC. Now, there is no other place in which to split. Who takes Cyril Ramaphosa? Cyril Ramaphosa is a creation of big business. They created. I once asked one of the bankers, one of my banker friends, I was saying to him that we were talking about Jacob Zuma and he's a very senior banking man. And I said to him, well, at least Jacob Zuma pays attention to you business people. He's given you Cyril Ramaphosa in a high level of power in the ANC. He turned around to me and said, Cyril is no businessman. We know where he got his money from. So that these are the crony capitalists that were created by black economic empowerment. They have zero constituency in the ANC and in the black population. So they are not going to split. They will enjoy their money. So there is no fact that is waiting to happen in the ANC. What is missing, as I say, in society, in our society today, is how do we wrestle this massive underclass from control, from voting for the ANC. And you can't do it without the capitalists investing and creating employment for this.
But South Africans, especially those who voted for it, are concerned and asking, can they be trusted? Trust in any political party, including the EFF, depends on their track record, policy consistency, and transparency. Here's a closer look at the EFF. 1. Track record. The EFF has been consistent in advocating for land reform, economic redistribution, and anti-corruption measures. However, their methods and rhetoric are often polarizing. 2. Policy consistency. The EFF's policy position have remained stable, showing commitment to their core principles, yet their aggressive tactics can be seen as destabilizing. 3. Coalition behavior. In coalitions, the EFF has shown flexibility and pragmatism, but their readiness to withdraw support if agreements aren't honored raises concern about long-term reliability. 4. Public statements and actions. Leaders like Julius Malema are known for their outspoken and controversial statements, which can be both a strength and a liability. Lastly, internal dynamics. A party with strong internal discipline and clear decision-making is more predictable and reliable in coalitions. In conclusion, trust in the EFF depends on one's perspective and expectations. Their consistency might inspire confidence, but their tactics can make others wary. What do you think? Can the EFF be trusted to represent South Africans, especially the marginalized? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Inkari. It's time for more insightful analysis. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged. Take care.